My entitled sisters demanded that I let them rent out my vacation home for profit. When I refused, their husbands broke in and are now facing charges. I, 35M, never thought I'd be one of those guys making a post like this, but after what happened last week, I don't even know who I can talk to anymore. So here I am, Reddit. I need advice, support, perspective. Honestly, I just need someone to hear me out. So, a bit of background. I own a small vacation home on a lake in Vermont. Nothing crazy, 2-bedroom, older cabin, cozy as hell in the fall with a wood stove and peaceful year-round. I inherited it from my maternal grandparents 5 years ago and I've kept it pretty low-key. It's my place to unplug, reset, fish a little, read a lot, and just breathe. My sisters Anna, 38F, and Shay, 32F, have never really been cool with that. Anna in particular always acted like the cabin should have gone to her because she was the oldest. Yeah, no idea what that logic is either, and Shay just likes to go wherever Anna goes. For a while, they'd make little digs about how I was wasting a perfectly good moneymaker by not turning it into an Airbnb. You know how much cash you'd make renting it out? You don't even use it half the year, Anna would say, while Shay chimed in with, we could handle it all for you, bookings, cleaning, even social media. You'd hardly have to lift a finger. At first I laughed it off. Then I said no politely. Then I said no firmly. Then I had to basically say no and drop it. That was about 2 months ago. They did not drop it. Things got quiet after that for a while. Suspiciously quiet in hindsight. I figured maybe they finally got the message. I was wrong. Fast forward to last weekend. I'd driven up to the cabin with my girlfriend to spend a long weekend away from the city. When we pulled up, I noticed something was off right away. The flower boxes were full of different flowers, ones I didn't plant. There was a new doormat that said, relax, you're on lake time. Cute, I guess, if I'd ever bought it. I got a weird feeling in my stomach and unlocked the door. It wasn't locked. Inside? New throw pillows? One of those generic wall signs that says live, laugh, lake, in a rustic font. My books and fishing gear were shoved into the back closet. The fridge had unopened soda and half a 6-pack of craft beer I don't drink. My girlfriend just stood there, blinking. She finally whispered, babe, what is this? I said, I think someone's been here. But even as I said it, I knew. My stomach dropped. I opened the cleaning closet, fully stocked. I checked my mail. There was a printout taped to the fridge. Welcome to Lakeside Retreat. We hope you enjoy your stay. It had Anna's name and phone number listed under property manager. I swear to God I almost blacked out from rage. I called her immediately. No answer. Then I called Shay. She picked up. I asked very calmly at first, did you or your husband break into my cabin? She said, without skipping a beat, it's not breaking in if we're improving it. I hung up and called the sheriff's office. Turns out, they had already received a noise complaint earlier in the week. My neighbors heard people coming and going during the nights. When they ran, the plates parked in the driveway belonged to Shay's husband and a guy named Mitch, Anna's husband's buddy, who's apparently a contractor. Reed does backyard decks illegally for cash. The deputies came out, took a statement, and one of them, bless his heart, looked at the welcome binder they'd left on the coffee table and just said, well, this is ballsy. I pressed charges. I had to. I wanted to. My sisters went ballistic. Anna called me screaming that I was trying to ruin her marriage, and Shay texted me saying, and I quote, you're going to regret this when mom finds out. Want to know what's wild? When I told my mom, she took their side. Her exact words were, they were just trying to help you make something of your inheritance. You never liked attention anyway. This could have been good for you. I felt like I was going insane. I told her the locks were changed, charges were filed, and if anyone else tried stepping foot on that property without my permission, I'd be adding trespassing to the list. She hung up. It's been a week. My sister's husbands were charged with unlawful entry and property damage. They replaced my porch railing without a permit and tore out a birdhouse my grandfather made by hand because it looked cluttered. I've had mutual cousins blowing up my phone saying family doesn't press charges, and one even sent me a GoFundMe link Shay made for legal fees caused by a bitter sibling. I feel like I'm living in some twisted fever dream. Okay, so where we left off. My sister's husbands had broken into my vacation cabin, and I filed charges. And I meant it. I wasn't bluffing. I didn't care if they were family. Family doesn't steal from you and lie to your face. After the dust of the initial discovery settled, and I changed the locks, secured the property, and started looking into getting security cameras installed, I drove back into town. I needed a breather before the inevitable blow-up. I didn't have to wait long. Anna called me at 10 a.m. the next day. I almost didn't pick up. but I wanted to hear what kind of fantasyland she was living in. I put her on speaker, my girlfriend sitting next to me with wide eyes. "Are you seriously pressing charges?" she snapped. No hello. No acknowledgement. Just rage. "Yeah, Anna. I am," I said calmly. "Your husband broke into my house and tried to flip it like a cheap motel." Her voice went up an octave. "It was going to be a business. We were trying to set something up to help you. You never use that place." "I use it whenever I want," I cut in. "It's mine. You don't get to decide what I do with my property." Then she dropped it. The line she'd clearly been rehearsing. "You said once, years ago, that if you ever wanted to rent it out, you'd ask us to help. You promised, remember?" I laughed. Out loud. "No, Anna," I said. "If I ever needed help with the cabin, maybe I'd ask you. Not, here's a blank check to break in and make yourself at home like you're a real estate mogul." She went quiet for a beat, then her voice got weirdly soft. Manipulative. "You don't get it. We were finally doing something together as a family, like Mom always wanted. You ruined that." "Oh yeah, and that's when I knew." She was setting me up to be the villain. She wasn't justifying her actions. She was rewriting the story, making me out to be the ungrateful little brother who hated family unity. I told her I was done talking and hung up. Then Shay called. Her tone? Totally different. Quiet. Fake sweet. Like she thought if she played the good sister card, I'd suddenly forget that her idiot husband drilled holes into my wall for a thermostat I didn't ask for. "Hey," she said in that sugary voice she uses when she's trying to scam someone. "I just wanted to talk. I feel like this is all a big misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" I asked. "Explain how breaking and entering is a misunderstanding." She sighed, and I swear I could hear her rolling her eyes. "We just wanted to give you a chance to make money. You've been so stuck lately. You work too much, you don't go out, you don't live, you know? Anna thought this would be a way to help you break out of your shell." That's when it hit me. They weren't trying to help. They were trying to control. To reframe my life into something that made them feel better about theirs. I asked Shay straight up, "Who else knew? Who helped? Who paid for all the stuff that showed up at the cabin? That stupid doormat, the sign, the cleaning crew I found receipts for." Dead silence. Then she said, "It was just supposed to be a test run. A test run. On my property. Without my consent." I hung up again. But here's the twist that really set me off. That night, I got a call from my cousin Jess. We're not super close, but she's cool, level-headed. She told me she was sorry for what I was going through and that she needed to tell me something. Apparently, Anna and Shay had already launched the listing. Like, months ago. They'd set up a profile on a vacation rental site with photos of my cabin. Not ones they took recently. Old ones. Photos from my Instagram and family albums. I didn't even know they'd saved those pictures. They faked a few bookings with friends to build up fake 5-star reviews, calling it a hidden lake gem, with rustic vibes and a freshly updated interior. I damn near dropped the phone. I checked the site myself. Sure enough, there it was, Lakeside Haven by Anna and Shay, two sisters with a dream. Price? $249 a night. Calendar? Fully booked for the next 2 months. The site even had a little paragraph that said, "Our brother generously let us open his treasured cabin to guests so more people can experience the serenity of lake life." I felt like I was going to throw up. That wasn't a test run. That was a full-on business. They hadn't just violated my trust. They'd hijacked my identity. They sold a version of my home and my life as if they owned it. And people had paid. People had slept in my bed, used my towels, touched my goddamn grandfather's carved walking stick that I found moved from its usual spot. And the worst part? One of the reviews even said, "We love chatting with Shay's husband about the renovation process. You can tell they really care about the space." Yeah. Because they thought it was his. The level of disrespect, the planning, the lies. It all hit me at once like a truck. I sat on the floor and cried. Not dramatic sobbing. Just silent, heavy, chest caving in kind of crying. I don't even know how long I was there. My girlfriend found me like that and didn't say a word, just sat next to me. It was one of the loneliest moments of my life. And it was only just beginning. Okay. Deep breath. This part still makes my hands shake when I type it. After finding the rental listing, my listing hijacked and repackaged like I was some passive investor in my own damn life. I contacted the platform immediately. I provided proof of ownership, photos with metadata, property tax documents. Thank God I still had emails from when I inherited the place. They took the listing down within 24 hours, but not before it got 17 reviews. 17 strangers had slept in my cabin, sat in my reading chair, showered under my water heater that barely handled one person. I started picturing all the things they could have touched, gone through my drawers, maybe even opened that old chest where I keep my grandfather's letters. I couldn't sleep for days after that. It felt like a violation that went deeper than physical space. This place was supposed to be sacred, safe. Instead, it got turned into an Instagrammable weekend escape. Now here's where it gets really insane. My mom invited me to dinner that Friday. Just me, no girlfriend. Said she wanted to clear the air. I should have known better. I walk into her house and the first thing I see? Anna and Shay. Sitting at the table, sipping wine like this is a casual family reunion. I stood in the doorway and said, "Nope, not doing this." But my mom, oh, she had a speech ready. "You're being irrational," she said, standing up like a courtroom drama character. "You're going to ruin your relationship with your sisters over some stupid little misunderstanding. Families fight. Families fix it." And then Anna, I swear to God, had the audacity to say, "We're sorry you feel violated, but we were just trying to build something. For all of us." "For all of us?" I said. "You built something for yourselves. And you didn't just cross a line. You bulldozed it." Shay chimed in with her usual passive-aggressive BS. "You've always had a thing about being in control, and we were just trying to help you let go a little." At that point, I laughed. I mean, really laughed. Loud, broken, unhinged. I turned to my mom and said, "You knew they were doing this, didn't you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she said, "You've always isolated yourself, even as a kid. I thought maybe this would bring you closer." Couldn't believe it. My own mother, defending two people who broke into my house and impersonated me online. And now she was trying to reframe me as the antisocial freak who needed saving. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't about the cabin. It wasn't even about money. It was about control, about power. And I wasn't playing anymore. I told them, right there in the middle of that dining room with their smug little wine glasses and their faux concern, that I was done. Done with the guilt trips, done with the gaslighting, done with pretending that family means automatic forgiveness. And then I left. No goodbyes. 2 days later, I officially blocked them all. Texts, calls, emails. Every single one of them. Even a few cousins who tried to guilt me into forgiving the girls. My girlfriend helped me write up a cease and desist letter. And we sent it to Shay and Anna with an attorney friend's name on the letterhead. The letter made it clear. Step foot on my property again, and it's not just charges. It's a restraining order. But of course, it didn't end there. 2 weeks later, I started getting harassed by randos on social media. DMs like, "Why'd you screw your sisters over?" And "Hope you enjoy ruining lives." Turns out Shay had made a TikTok. A whole-ass TikTok. With dramatic background music, slow-mo clips of the cabin, and a sob story captioned, "When your brother calls the cops on you for trying to build a family business, broken heart." Yeah. That kind of TikTok. It got 87,000 views. And the comments? People loved her. "OMG. Your brother sounds toxic. You're a queen. Don't let him stop your dreams. That cabin is gorgeous. You should have been allowed to use it anyway." She turned my trauma into content. I didn't respond. I refused to play her game. But I won't lie, it messed with my head. I started questioning myself. Was I being dramatic? Was there any part of this that justified how far I went? My girlfriend had to sit me down and remind me, they broke into your home. They lied. They stole. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was premeditated betrayal. Full stop. I've since scrubbed all public info about the cabin from my socials. Locked my accounts. Changed my email. We've filed for a formal protective order that's pending. But so far, they've gone quiet. For now. So, I cut off my family. I went no contact with my sisters, blocked my mom, and sent legal warnings to every person who thought my lake cabin was their group project. And for a few weeks after all that, it was quiet. Too quiet. You don't really realize how much background noise family creates until you pull the plug. No random texts. No group chats. No one inviting me to just swing by on a Sunday for some guilt trap brunch. No petty drama filling the air like static. Just silence. And for a while, it felt amazing. My girlfriend and I spent a weekend at the cabin, just the two of us with mugs of coffee on the deck and no one else's hands in our lives. She brought her camera, I brought a stack of old sci-fi novels, and for 48 hours I let myself believe it was over. That I had wrestled my life back. But grief is weird. It doesn't knock. It just sits on your chest when you least expect it. Like the night I saw my mom's birthday on the calendar. Or when I drove past the diner we used to go to after Sunday church before things turned into a minefield of insults dressed up as advice. Or when I remembered how, when I was a kid, Anna used to braid my hair when I was sick. And Shay snuck me ice cream after I got dumped in high school. These are the soft memories that bring you out. Because they're real too. They existed alongside the manipulation. They don't cancel each other out, they just complicate everything. And then there was the time I ran into my aunt at the grocery store. The cool one, my dad's sister. We were standing in line and she tapped me on the shoulder like nothing had happened. "You doing okay?" she asked gently, her cart full of produce and wine. I wanted to lie. I wanted to say, yeah, I'm fine. Just needed some space. But instead I said, "They broke into my house." She looked at me for a long second. Then just nodded. "Yeah, I know. I told your mom she messed up." Messed up was putting it lightly, but it was the closest anyone in the family had come to admitting it. I said thanks. She didn't press. Just patted my arm and told me to call her if I ever wanted to talk. It was small. But it mattered. Meanwhile, Shay deleted the TikTok after I sent a takedown request through the platform with proof of the restraining order application. I guess the threat of legal consequences finally hit home. Or maybe she got tired of playing entrepreneur with someone else's property. Anna, on the other hand? She's still a ghost. No apology. No explanation. Just rage one day and then, nothing. She's always been the storm. Shay's just the wind that follows it. My girlfriend's been a rock through all of this. She even offered to go halfsies on legal fees. I told her no, but it broke me a little to realize she was more family than the people who shared my blood. And then here's the kicker, my mom sent a letter. Handwritten. Just 3 sentences. "I hope one day you'll realize we were only trying to help. Family is all you have in the end. Please don't let this be the last word between us." No apology. No ownership. Just a sad little gaslight in cursive. I didn't respond. I've been journaling. Meditating, kind of. More like angry staring at trees while pretending to meditate, but I'm trying. I've learned how much space you get when you start enforcing your boundaries. You also learn how few people actually respected them to begin with. The cabin feels like mine again. I replaced every single item they brought in: pillows, welcome sign, even the doormat. I sanded the new railing they installed and painted over it. I kept the railing though. Not because it looks good, but because it reminds me of what happens when you let people walk all over you. The emotional impact? Man, it's complicated. I feel free, yeah, but also detached. Like I'm watching my life through glass. I keep wondering if I could have prevented it somehow if I had been clearer earlier, more assertive. If I hadn't played the peacemaker for so long that they forgot I had fangs. I cry sometimes. It hits at weird moments. Folding laundry. Brushing my teeth. I'll think, my mom thinks I'm the villain, and it guts me all over again. But I also breathe easier. No one's draining my energy. No one's spinning lies around me like a spiderweb and calling it love. So yeah, the peace is real. But it comes with a cost. So this is it. The last part. It's been a few months since everything happened, since my sisters decided my life was theirs to monetize, since their husbands broke into my cabin and caught charges, since my own mom looked me in the eye and told me I was the problem for not appreciating the help. The dust has mostly settled. The legal stuff is moving slow. Shay's husband pled out, took a plea for misdemeanor trespassing and community service. Anna's husband tried to fight it, but the evidence was stacked. Surveillance from my neighbor, text messages where he joked about being Lake House Fixer-Upper of the Year, and receipts in his name for materials. They'll both be on probation for a while. But none of that matters as much to me as the fact that they haven't set foot near my property again. Small victories. And me? I'm still here. Still in the cabin some weekends. Still with my girlfriend, who's become the kind of person I never thought I'd be lucky enough to find, steady, calm, quietly fierce when someone tries to hurt me. She told me she was proud of me for standing up to them, for drawing a line, for holding it. But healing is weird. It's not clean. It doesn't wrap itself up in a neat bow just because the story ends. Some days I still flinch when I see an unknown number. Still hesitate when someone says family's everything. Still find myself rehearsing conversations that will never happen, apologies I'll never get, closure that won't come. The truth is, when you go no contact with your family, people act like you've killed someone. They treat it like you've made a choice to be cold. But what no one tells you is that sometimes it's the only way to stop bleeding. Sometimes loving yourself means walking away from people who would set your house on fire just to roast marshmallows and call it bonding. I've spent so much of my life making excuses for them. Oh, she's just under a lot of stress. They didn't mean it like that. It's just how she is. That's the language of someone being slowly drowned while convincing themselves the water's warm. So what now? Now, I live smaller but lighter. I've updated my will to make sure the cabin never ends up in their hands, left it to my girlfriend and, if we ever have kids, to them. I set up a trust to preserve it. I finally finished restoring the loft upstairs that my grandfather had started before he passed, something I always put off because the place reminded me of family. Now I realize it's my place. It holds my stories now. I started therapy, something I swore I didn't need until my girlfriend looked at me one night and said, "You still talk about them like they're going to come back and make it right." She was right. The therapist, an older guy with kind eyes and a brutal sense of honesty, asked me in our second session, "Why do you think you still need their approval to be okay?" I didn't have an answer, but that question has stuck with me. So here's what I'd tell anyone going through something like this. Don't wait for them to hit rock bottom before you protect yourself. Boundaries aren't punishments, they're lifelines. If someone only loves the version of you they can control, that's not love. Family isn't blood. It's behavior. And if they ever try to twist your story and make you feel like the villain for standing up for yourself, let them. Let them tell the world you were too sensitive or bitter or selfish. Better to be the villain in their story than the victim in yours. I don't know if I'll ever speak to my sisters or my mom again. Right now, the idea just feels hollow. Not angry. Not sad. Just empty. Like that bridge burned so hot it scorched the air. But I do know this, I sleep better now. And when I sit out on that porch at sunset, drink in hand, girlfriend by my side, wind rustling through the pines, I feel peace. The kind I didn't know I deserved.